From Washington, this is VOA News. Full military mobilization ordered in Ukraine. China blames separatists in deadly stabbing spree. I'm Ray Kouguell reporting from Washington. Ukraine's ordered a full military mobilization after Russian lawmakers authorized deployment of troops on Ukraine territory. VOA's Elizabeth Arrott reports.
Ukraine's new Prime Minister Arseniy Yatsenyuk says the Russian decision is a declaration of war.
This is not the threat. This is actually the declaration of war to my country.
The pro-Western government in Kyiv, which ousted pro-Russian President Viktor Yanukovych last month, has appealed to the international community for help. Prime Minister Yatsenyuk, in an address from Parliament Sunday, called for Russia to pull back its military and abide by international obligations. News agencies in Moscow report Russian President Vladimir Putin told U.S. President Obama in a Saturday telephone call Moscow reserves the right to protect ethnic Russians in Crimea and eastern Ukraine. Elizabeth Arrott, VOA News, Simferopol.
With Russian forces surrounding Ukrainian airports and military bases, Germany says Russian President Vladimir Putin has agreed with Chancellor Angela Merkel to set up a fact-finding mission on Ukraine. The German government spokesman says the mission will be led by the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, the continent's largest conflict management and crisis prevention group. In a U.S. television interview, meanwhile, Secretary of State John Kerry blasted Russia's deployment.
A brazen act of aggression in violation of international law, in violation of the UN Charter. It's a 19th century act in the 21st century.
Secretary Kerry also warned of potential economic sanctions against Moscow. NATO convened an emergency session Sunday to discuss the crisis, which Secretary General Anders Fogh Rasmussen said is threatening peace and stability across Europe. Authorities in northern Nigeria say Islamic militants are suspected of killing at least 74 people in separate attacks late Saturday. Witnesses and a state security service agent say militants killed 39 people and burned all the thatched roof huts at a village in northeastern Nigeria. Earlier, twin bomb blasts killed at least 35 people in the city of Maiduguri, 60 kilometers away. Chinese authorities are blaming separatists for a deadly stabbing rampage at a train station in southern China. They killed 29 people and injured more than 130 others. A group of 10 knife-wielding attackers from the predominantly Muslim Xinjiang region, who Beijing are calling terrorists, struck in southern Kunming province late Saturday. Police say they fatally shot 4 of the attackers, raising the overall death toll to 33. Authorities detained 1 suspect and are searching for others. No one's claimed responsibility, and the motive continues to be unknown. Tens of thousands of people took to the streets of Hong Kong Sunday to condemn a vicious attack on a former newspaper editor and to protest Beijing's increasing influence in the media. Kevin Lau Chunto was getting into his car last Wednesday when a man packing a meat cleaver jumped off a motorcycle and started slashing at him. The attacker and a driver on the motorcycle escaped. Lau, the former chief editor of the Ming Pao, a Chinese-language paper known for its investigative reporting, was recently removed from his job and replaced by a journalist suspected of pro-Beijing leanings. Shirley Yam is a vice chairwoman of the Hong Kong Journalists Association.
Well, of course we are worrying, but at the same time, we like to tell whoever the attacker is, we are not going to bow to their intimidations. That's what our slogan said today is, they cannot kill us all.
Lau's wife says her husband suffered deep and serious wounds to his torso and legs, but is recovering after surgery. Thailand held a rerun of voting in 5 provinces widely disrupted during last month's general election. The Election Commission says voting on February 2nd was disrupted in 18% of the constituencies, affecting several million people. Full results will not be announced until polls have been held in all constituencies. Until that time, Prime Minister Yatsenyuk will remain at the head of a caretaker government with limited power over policy. UN officials say Secretary General Ban Ki-moon will be meeting with Venezuela's foreign minister in Geneva Tuesday. They'll be discussing recent violent street protests against the government of President Nicolas Maduro. I'm Ray Kouguell, VOA News. More on the internet at voanews.com.